I'd like to invite you to have to be part of a little experiment with me, because I'll try to explain what makes passion sticky. Passion sticks is a bold statement. Sticks on what? You can inspire other people, we just heard that, but sometimes you have to work with things, sometimes you have to do things. For example, my parents asked my brother what he wants to be when he's older. He's 4 years older than me. So when he's adult, what he wants to be, and he said, I want to be a doctor. And then my mother asked me, I was 6 years old by that time, and she said, what do you want to be when you're old? And I said, I want to be an inventor. And then she said, well, sorry honey, but inventor is not a job. So I said, okay, then I will be an unemployed inventor. And that led to a very easy thing, so I became an industrial designer. And that was the closest thing I found to becoming a professional inventor. And to do so and to really change my profession into the area I wanted to do, because that guy in Donald Duck, in a Donald Duck comic, I think he's his uncle, he's an inventor too. Gustav Gierlus, something like that. Is that right? Daniel Düsentrieb in German. Yeah. But it's in English. It's. I was just thinking it's Gierlus. So that guy is my kind of my idol. And so I became industrial designer, and I had to found my own company because nobody employed me at that time when I was finished with school. So we're now about 100 people, and we're on the service side of doing things. And a couple of years ago, I decided to have an intern with us. His name was Johannes, and he was a really good guy. And I thought, wow, I'm going to support him. And he told me he wants to do a diploma work, and he wants to do a bench press. And he was like, he wants to do something to work out with. It wasn't a bench press, but it was something to work out with. And I said to him, okay, if you want to do a bench press, you know that there are 100 bench presses out there, so you want to do the 101? Or do you want to have people on your side and people supporting you and people being convinced of what you're doing without convincing them with marketing and with some sentences you invent afterwards? So I told him about the sense and function diagram. This is something that came really close to me, because this is one of the tools I use to make passion stick to products. Because if I develop something, I put all my passion into what I'm doing, no matter if I'm doing it for myself or if I'm doing it for a company that's hiring our company. So making that stick, something helped me, and this was this diagram. It says 100% function on one side, 100% sense on the other. There's a set of functions you want to have in your products. You want to have in the chair you're sitting on right now. You don't want to break it. You don't want it to tip you over or you hurt yourself. You don't want to have it going up in flames or doing anything like that. So you want to have a safe and secure feeling, and you want to be able to move afterwards after you got up after this show here. So there's function, but you also want to have sense in the product, because right now you don't really care for that chair. It just gives you some functions, but you really don't involve with this thing. If you inherited it by your grandmother, the chair becomes something totally different for you. And you wouldn't even matter if it would rock. You wouldn't even matter if it would maybe have some little bit of a stench. You wouldn't even matter if it's out-fashioned, because it was your grandmother's chair. So it's really moving to the sense side very much, up to a point where it doesn't even have a function anymore. That's when you find things in a museum and you find them really expensive. So I think this thing here helps you a lot to put some sense into products, and to even help you to stick your passion onto things and to pass it on to other people. So I told him, okay, bench press, 100% function, go for something else. Do a training device that makes you fly. That was the hint I gave him, and he said, okay, I'm going to do that. So I was really happy him doing it. And he thought, okay, what can we do? And we discussed about it, and we found out that Icarus is the guy who was flying not to escape. He was flying to fly. His father, Daedalus, he was flying to escape, so he would have taken a subway if the subway would have taken him from the island, okay? But Icarus said, okay, flying is nice, much nicer than arriving, so I fly up to the sun and I die for my passion. So Icarus is the symbol of passion, hitting ratio. So we all don't want to die, I mean, like from our passion, so we kind of have to be careful. And some of those parts then led to a concept of my intern. His name is Johannes. By the way, right now we are running a company together. I'm going to tell you about that. So it really worked out, transferring passion from one to the other with a product. He said, I want to do something futuristic, I want to do something inspiring, I want to do something positive. I'm going to do this robot exoskeleton, and we have a VR goggle on our heads, and with this thing we kind of fly. At this time it was bold, it was 2011, so Facebook was not thinking about VR. There was no Oculus Rift at that time, and there was the products that have been invented in the 80s for virtual reality, they just vanished again, so they had to be reinvented. So this thing was just a little bit before its time. But I wanted to have Johannes on my team. So when he gave his master study thing, his Icarus, to his school, he got grade A and he got some scholarship. And I said, shit, I wanted to have that guy on my team. Now he got a scholarship. That's not so good. So I asked him, hey, what can we do to work together? So I had to be persuasive, promising, and generous. So I gave him some money, the same amount that the scholarship had. I said, hey, we will together realize your concept. No matter how, no matter what we have to do, are you able to share? Can we bend it? Can we do it a little bit differently maybe? He said, yeah, no problem. And he started off. And 3 years later, we went to a robot company, and somewhere in Augsburg. They got sold to a Chinese company a couple of years ago. Big company. We talked a whole afternoon with them, and then after we convinced them that this is a beautiful product and they should invest and help us to build it, they said, "Okay, now we need 15 million euro from you guys." And we said, "Okay, we have a lot of passion, but we don't have a lot of money." So we were kind of, I wouldn't say frustrated, but maybe a little bit pissed. And then we got in a car and we drove home. And going from Augsburg to Munich can take you 3 hours if you have bad luck. But those 3 hours were well used, because during that time we reinvented the product and we said, okay, no more propulsion in this thing. We make a passive device that you steer with your body weight. So all we have to do is a certain kind of construction, and we did that. We're both industrial designers. I have a lot of background in construction, so no problem. 2 weeks later we had a product, and I have a bunch of friends from a long, long time ago. They're good in welding and laser cutting, and they made us a prototype that we designed on a 3D program, so that thing was really in our room a few days later. So now about timing. Now we had to wait till the right VR goggles come up, and after Developer Kit 2 from Oculus came out, the Rift Developer Kit 2, we just bought it, and boom, and we found a guy helping us to program something, and then we were able to virtually fly. So this became our claim: we make you fly. And making a training device that is so intriguing and so contagious to you that you say, okay, I want to do this. Because bench press can be an ugly piece, and you might not want to bench press this day. But flying, you don't have to convince somebody really. You say, okay, you want to fly? Okay, I had this dream, and sometimes I'm flying in my dream. Say, hey, no problem. You can test this right now, right here. And that's how it worked. So we tried to revolutionize the way people exercise and play, because we say that people need to get healthy, and to be healthy you need to exercise and so forth, and you can convince them and put all kinds of Zumba and aerobics and whatever on stage and try to get people in there and go jogging, go skiing, go do this, go do that. But many people just don't have that kind of Kufstein environment around them, so they are sitting in their city and it takes them hours to get out of the city, so they might want to use something that kind of opens up their mind, flying through Grand Canyon and relaxing after work and kind of getting into motion, and then starting off and then doing workouts and everything else after they started off with the Icarus and fly. All right, one other key element for us was we were working on a multiplayer really, really early. It was that was early 2016. And you can see here we're both on devices. That's, by the way, that's Johannes. He's now CEO together with me of the company called Icarus. We founded in 2015 because many, many people saw the device and they said, okay, we want to have this. So we thought, okay, why not change sides from a service to making a product? And yeah, it worked good. We were flying in a virtual space, and we saw each other in space. You know, our avatars, they were looking at each other. And we could even have this in different rooms. We could even have this in different cities. And you can look at the other guy, and you have a team up, and you can kind of communicate and say, I'm going to beat you. And the other guy say, okay. And you're still in your apartment, wherever you are, stationary. You don't have to travel for that. You let internet do the traveling for you. All right. So we thought, okay, social, competitive, and challenging are three terms that kind of help us to gain friends, and other people who might want to buy our product, because we didn't have any budget for any marketing. But we thought, we make you fly, it's marketing enough. So now, last year we did a live event. We had some fans because we started off with an online racing. It's called Icarus. And these are some of the friends. We had a live event last year, and they just love it. And some of them are really, really fast, and much faster than we are on those racetracks that we built. And since we're so passionate, most of the time our racetracks are much too difficult for newbies, so we kind of have to roll back often to pick other people up and kind of let them take part of it and become part of our community. This is just a little slide where you can see what's happening in this community, and you see this guy here, Tomislav. I'm going to talk about him a little bit later. He's just incredibly fast, and this is like all within 1 or 2 seconds, so it's really tight on some race courses. But this guy, nobody ever beat him yet, and on those live events, what did he do? Well, he grabbed the first prize, and he also won. That's him, by the way. And that's the trophy we gave him. And that's the only live event we had at that time. It was last year in October. So Johannes and me, that's Johannes, by the way, that's me, we were taking part in this. In future, probably not possible. You can't create an event. You did not see Bernie Ecclestone drive a F1 car, And so we're kind of outmoded. We have much, much faster fans than we are, and we shouldn't be on stage in future at that time anymore. But our passion drove us to, and we kind of had to initiate it. That's another guy. That guy, he's operating knees, 500 knees and hip joints every year, so he's really got not a lot of time, but Icarus has really got him, and he traveled and came to our live event, and he's one of our biggest fans, and he's doing a lot of stuff for us on the social media channels. And that's Tomislav, by the way, and he's all into it, and he's much more passionate sometimes about things that we do than we are ourselves. So I think you can stick passion not only on people and kind of be contagious to them and inspiring, but you can also use products as a transmitter to kind of forward passion to the people. I think I have some movie here that's going on. You can see there's a live event running, and that's how the things work. This is Icarus. This is we have different racetracks with different difficulties. You got to be really good, and you got to steer this thing with your body. If you move forward, it goes down. If you move backward, it goes up. If you move to the right, you do a right turn. If you move left, you do a left turn. And you see this thing three-dimensional, so you can look around, you can look into the curve, you can have a feeling like you would have on a MotoGP bike when you really go and you want to do a left and a right turn. You go, take your head, look to the right, and that's where you're going. And you can exercise later on, no problem. This thing really worked out for us. We had great fun and lots of alcohol afterwards, so it really was really inspiring. Exactly, that's how it worked. And one super thing happened to me the last couple of weeks. I got an email from Tomislav, that's him, by the way, and he was kind of asking me, can we do this in this curve, and can you do some more difficult? But hey, do whatever you want, because your vision is my sport. He wrote that to me. Great, man. I still get goosebumps hearing that when I say myself, this is crazy. Your vision is my sport. I love it. This guy, he's really infected, and he's carrying something that we threw into the ring much better than we could ever do. So, yeah, there's other things we try to do. Of course, passion can also lead to, risk. I just had an accident 3 weeks before that on a racetrack. You can still see it on a suit. but I was already working on a virtual way to race motorcycles, and it does work. Right now we're working together with BMW on that. So passion can sometimes lead to failure. Which is not a problem as long as you're alive afterwards. So you kind of have to think of how to make passion how can you provide something that provides passion to people without endangering them. So this is why I really have to say only good things about virtual reality. Maybe those things are bulky, maybe the technology is not yet 100% perfect, but you can believe me, you don't want 7.9 billion people on this planet being tourists and being everywhere, all around you, all the time, at all times. But hopefully nobody in this room wants to have this poor-rich gap that we right now have on our planet. So if everybody would have the opportunity, like we all have in this room, to travel around and to have access to clear water and health and education, you cannot stop them from traveling, of course. You don't want. Everybody is equal and we all should travel. So maybe we all should travel a little less, but we still have some needs, and maybe we use technology to solve those needs. So every time my wife sees some kids with their parents, and those kids are looking into their smartphones and playing around, she says, hey, by the way, this is not so good that those kids do that. I say, no, it's not so bad, because they're occupied with something. It's not bad. Comics in the 50s were called bad. They were not bad. They led to the beautiful Avenger movies, and everybody wanted to be Batman at some point in his life. So I think let's not judge too early on that. We are working on other stuff. We are not working only on mankind's dreams of flying or maybe using something like a motorcycle. We're also working on things where you could transform yourself into something that we could be passionate about. If you see a cheetah run, you know how that animal really moves through the plains in Africa when catching a prey, incredibly beautiful. Everybody thinks, wow, being something like that just for 1 minute in my life, that would be cool. We are working on something that makes you feel like a cheetah and makes you as fast and makes you just as a predator. We're working on that. I don't know if we can make it, but if we don't, I hope our passion helps us to inspire other people. Because that is what I still believe, and that's the last sentence here. I believe that you can use your own passion when you do things, when you're passionate about something, and you can transfer it even in products and services that you do, and even without you being with those products kind of have this halo and make this passion feelable and sensible for other people. And this is what makes products sustainable, and this is what kind of is like probably and hopefully something that makes passion a valuable and transferable value for all of us for the future. Thanks very much. That was it. Thank you.